You're now listening to the Zod and Drea podcast.
That's great. Great start.
Great. Yeah. All right, let's do this again. Welcome to the Zod and Drea podcast.
Episode 67, everybody.
Episode number 67. We continue on and we continue on. We hope you enjoyed last week's episode with George Torres. I mean, that was a good episode.
Right, and thanks to him again, he continues to give us love and continues to share his experience that he had with us. So thank you, George.
Yeah, thanks, George. So one thing we got to do, people, is we have to wish Drea a happy birthday. In case you haven't seen that on the website, Drea had her 67th birthday.
Woo!
She had her
I get
birthday.
the Medicaid.
she got the AARP card. So she got her birthday on September 1st, and if you haven't visited the site on Zod and Drea on the Facebook page, we wished her a happy birthday there, which she got a few likes and all that. But the only reason people got a few likes was because the one on my page, my personal page, got 270 likes or something like that.
Actually, it was like 305 already.
Really?
Yeah,
oh my God! Look at that. That might be our biggest post.
I think so.
All
well,
right, anyway.
You did a good post, so thank you, babe.
So anyway, happy birthday to her, and make sure you check on the. Well, I don't know if it was on the website where we had the what were they called?
The mariachis?
Mariachi Passion. That's it. The Mariachi Passion had
maybe we'll do that then. If it wasn't on there, you got to see it.
It was cool. So obviously a lot has been going on. The Trump administration is now threatening the Dreamers, the DACA Dreamers, and we're going to be discussing a lot about that today. But first, let's talk about a couple of the other topics that we're going to be thinking about.
Other topics we're going to talk about as part of our relationship segment is Hurricane Harvey. And why would we talk about the Hurricane Harvey during the relationship segment? Well, we'll talk about that and see how it all tied together.
And also, if you haven't seen it, we've decided to finally binge on what Hulu has been talking about, their great show, and everybody's been talking about it a while ago. But, we finally binged on it, which is The Handmaid's Tale, which was a really good show. We went and binge-watched all, I think, 10 episodes, and we just, ran right through it. Mm-hmm. And it was a really good show. So we'll discuss a little bit about that in our little review. And, of course, let's talk about this main topic, which we had talked about, DACA.
And again, why the DACA program makes America great.
So we're going to explain that, why DACA actually makes America great, as opposed to what a lot of the Trump supporters and Trump himself has said about it. So let's go.
Do this.
All right, let's talk about the entertainment.
So at first I called it the wrong title for a few days. I kept calling the show The Handmaiden's Tale.
Yeah, she's like The Handmaiden's Story. I mean, it was something else. No, this is The Handmaid's Tale. It's funny when you think about it, because I always thought, every time I saw everybody dressed in the red robes and the big white hats, I always thought that it was set in the past. My whole thing was, I was like, oh, it's set in the past, but instead it's actually set in the future, more or less. And almost today. It's almost set today in a way.
This is what messed me up about this show, right? Because it again, like you said, it goes into the future of a story about America after a major pollution has happened, and the government was there was a coup that happened with the government, and this very conservative, reformative type of government was created that wanted to take people back to days when America was great, which was women had no rights, no money. It was illegal.
They couldn't write.
Couldn't work.
They couldn't work. So women were taken care of by their men. The men were the ones who were in charge of everything.
To the point where if a woman was caught reading, that they would cut her right hand off. Yeah,
so it got back to where pretty much what people compare to ISIS today, which is kind of what the United States and a lot of, English and European ways were back then. Don't think that ISIS is something new just because you kind of advance a little bit, further than what they have. American situation, civilization was a lot like that, and not that long ago.
No.
So don't think, we got past it. You know what? At some point, somebody or another civilization always gets past something. Well, guess what? In Europe right now, women are running around topless with no problem, whereas we haven't gotten past that. So it gets into that future where, you know, some people, United States is backwards, so what they did was it went into a backwards tale. It was a dystopian future where women now literally didn't have rights, but that was also because of the low childbirth rate.
And that actually is now what women, so if you're a fertile woman, you are the number one commodity in the new country, which is called Gilead now, if I get that right?
It was like Gilead or something. It was weird. It was funny because they said the American flag now has, what, two stars on it?
2 stars on it, right. They changed all the names of the street, of the states.
There are no, like, they say formally, they say formally New York, formally Michigan.
Did you even notice, too, there's no street signs, there's no subway train signs either.
There's no Wi-Fi, there's nothing. And it's like they took every piece of, at least as many as they could, carbon footprint that they could and destroyed it. Which is why now they say the air pollution is down like, what, 70-something percent?
Yeah, 70%. And everything's naturally made.
Yeah.
But, you know, so they're promoting themselves as this, they've rebuilt themselves from the pollution. But as a result of the pollution, the childbirth rate dropped like, what, 60%?
Yeah, it dropped a lot. Like, I mean, there's only a few.
And that was across the globe. Yeah. So what this form of government decided to do was to capture any woman that was fertile, which was, I guess, a proof if they had a child or something, right? Or depending on their age or whatever the heck that was.
They were fertile. I mean, who knows what they did. You got to see, I mean, as brutal as they'll go into punishment, you know that there was a lot of brutality they got to find out if women were even, to see if women were even fertile.
So if you were fertile, then you were chosen as a handmaiden. And again, it was not by your choice. You were chosen by the government. So you are pretty much a vessel to produce babies for these elitists at their whim. So for 9 months, you could be pregnant with someone's child and then go to another home of a commander and produce his child.
Well, after a while, it's not just the birth. Remember, they have to wean, they have to milk the kid, whatever, and then wean them off of it, and then that's it. Like, that was your kid, too bad. You're off to another house to do it all over again.
So pretty much a time frame of a year.
It's slavery. So there's slavery. It's slavery in rape, and that's what it is. That this is what the future is. But what's even crazier is, as badly as this was done by women, one of the main characters, played by Yvonne Strakovsky or whatever, she actually is one of the writers of the laws.
Yes, she created these laws. One of the co-writers of the laws, which scares me because I think of all of these Republican women that support Trump and how much
they're willing to give up blindly for what? Like, they are willing to say, well, it doesn't matter if he's a rapist or, you know, whatever. It's like, he'll still be okay.
Yeah.
It's like, let me look past all this, and it's kind of what
this
sort
is
of
what God
marries.
Wants.
Yeah, exactly, and using religion
as
a backbone for their laws. It's really good.
So no matter how dark and dismal it gets, there's still hope. So I can't wait for season 2, but it messed me up.
Yeah, it was a good show. So check it out. It's called Handmaid's Tale. Chainmail's Tale.
They probably will wear chainmail later.
Yeah, later on. So let's keep on going, people. Let's keep on going. Let's talk about this hurricane. So obviously Hurricane Harvey has come in and it has destroyed, demolished the South.
Pretty much.
Louisiana, Texas.
Houston will never be the same.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about things that are completely and totally underwater. Now, where it comes to relationships in this, like, the one thing that we've seen is relationships between people and other neighbors. So we're talking about a very red state that is now pretty much hit as hard, no, actually worse than Sandy was. This is actually worse than Sandy and worse than Katrina and Rita. So even though they've been through Katrina and Rita before, this is worse. Like, the damage is now, I think Katrina was $700-something million or something like that they needed to repair, but this is going to be bigger. They didn't even mention a number yet, but what's funny is Congress is on top of it.
So you think that they learned their lessons from Katrina?
No, here's the funny thing. I don't know. Did you hear about Senator Cruz?
My boy Ted Cruz.
Teddy Ted.
Teddy Ted. The Zodiac Killer son?
Zodiac Killer son. Did you hear that he was also the guy who didn't want funds going from Sandy?
Mm-hmm.
And it's ironic that here he is with his state underwater where he is now wanting funds for. So when he was called out about it, he tried to say, no, because there was pork barrel spending in it and all this other, but I'll bet you money that this guy will want to get whatever money he can, no matter what is in any bill. And he's still not stepping back from money, because they said that they asked him again that he would change his vote about what he did with Hussein. He said no. So they're just selfish people who don't realize that they can go through certain things at the same time that someone else has gone through, and realize that, you know what, you needed a handout.
Right.
You needed help. The president went down there, did nothing. To the point where he had to go down there a second time because optics were so bad for him and his wife, whatever, that they sent Pence down there to do the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
So he was over there after lifting branches and trying to show people because the optics looked like crap. But then you have all the relationships with the people who are actually citizens who were... Did you see all the people who were boating people? There were people...
that came in from other
Yes.
cities that were like, let me get my boat, and they called themselves the
they did say
Houston
something, yeah.
Navy, I think. Like they made a term for themselves, and that's all they did all day long was go to their boats and help anybody that was stuck. There's so many stories that you've seen too of just, like you said, of just local heroism that happened. Like people were just helping each other and can still continue to. I mean, there is toxic water now because of all of the chemical plants that are based in Houston. They are now having major chemical leakage into their
Not just
water
that,
system.
but it's the human feces. It's like, think about all the overflowing toilets and everything else. It's not just like the water is toxic.
You got
E.
cars that
coli.
have been underneath water for days, and now that's seeping. It's an environmental catastrophe.
But seeing people come together. Now, I saw a really good article today. My favorite rapper, Scarface, is a Houston resident. Now, he said that his house didn't get really that badly hit because he's on the outskirts of Houston and on enough of a hill where he didn't get water. He said once the trucks would roll by, though, you know, the waves from the water would kind of hit his porch, and he's like, oh, you know, it gets close. But his whole thing was that and I saw another video about this about someone else, was the black communities. A lot of the black communities and the poorer communities are not getting the help that they need. They're being serviced by some of the other neighbors, which I'm really glad that relationship is working, but a lot of the people who are helping or sending money, the funding isn't going directly to them. It's going to some people at River Oaks and some of the other richer communities that don't even need the money. So he was stressing that you have to look out for where you're sending it and watch out for the people that are really in need, because these are the people that don't have anything. The people that lost something, they have insurance to do that. They have the money to back it up. But the people who are really hurting are the ones who can't replace.
Yeah, they can't go to work now. Their car doesn't work to get them to work.
Right.
And they need money.
And they need money. They can't just go ahead and go and buy a new one, and you know what I mean? So look out for that. Look out for that type of relationship, and wherever you can donate. I'm always iffy about the Red Cross because of after what they did to Haiti, but you know, if you see some of the other organizations out there, I think they're listed on certain Hurricane Harvey websites. I wish I can say them right now, but
And shame on you, you mega churches, for not opening your doors.
Oh, Joel Osteen.
Shame on you.
Suck.
You are not a Christian.
You're a bum.
Please listen
Shame on
carefully.
you.
Please listen
Hey, what's
carefully.
up, everybody? I'm Zod,
And I'm Drea.
and we want you to check out the Zod and Drea podcast every Tuesday.
Where can everybody find us at?
You can always check us out on www.zodanddrea.com.
Where else?
You can always check us out also on Facebook at Zod and Drea.
Instagram?
Zod and Drea.
Snapchat?
Zod and Drea.
YouTube?
Zod and Drea.
I see a pattern.
I see a pattern. So if you haven't caught that, catch us at Zod and Drea on all the social networks. But also, make sure you subscribe to the Zod and Drea podcast. Where?
At zodanddrea.com.
And also on YouTube and iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. We're coming for you.
Let us know what you think. And if you want to be a guest, reach out to us.
And put all of your input into whatever our topics are for the week. So we hope to check you out and see you there.
Bye!
Okay, let's get started on our main topic.
All right, this one's going to probably go really fast because we have a lot to say about this, but it's going to be a really continuous conversation that we're going to want to continue online. So considering it is Tuesday, if you're listening to this and the decision may be coming out about DACA today, you know, let's continue on the conversation.
And DACA is a big factor in this state. You know, it impacts us and it impacts our lives. We have many friends and people in our lives that are DACA recipients right now.
Yeah, and people we support and we respect. So obviously this is something that, you know, hits our hearts. You know, this is personal for us.
Mm-hmm. So let's get started with, why don't you describe then, what is DACA? What's all this DACA?
Well, I mean, let's get into it. It's why the DACA program makes America great. Because, I mean, we have to know why it makes America great in the first place. But DACA is a federal, according to The Guardian. So I looked up on The Guardian. They had a really good description of what it was, which is DACA is a federal government program created in 2012 under Barack Obama to allow people brought to the U.S. illegally as children the temporary right to live, study, and work legally in America. So think about that. Like, these were kids who were brought over by their parents. It's not like they had a choice. So those applying are vetted for any criminal history, a threat to national security, and must be a student or have completed school or military service. And if they pass vetting, action to deport them is deferred for 2 years with a chance to renew, and they become eligible for basics like a driver's license, college enrollment, or a work permit. Now, this is not a pathway to citizenship, but it stalls enough for the government to be able to get their act together, not kick anybody out. So if they keep renewing it, they're going to wind up adding more and more to the economy, improving their lives, improving the lives of everybody else. So at the moment, I think we're up to about 800, a little bit more than 800,000, but it may be more than 1 point something million, like 1.1 million or something like that. So it's a large part of the population that could be affected.
And now keep in mind too, in 2012, when the program started, the government promised the anybody that applied for DACA that their information would be kept private by Homeland Security, so that they could at least apply and try to then again get their work visas, get, like I said, the driver's license, even in some cases apply for social security number. It wasn't until when the Trump administration came in that he made an executive action to remove those safety, I should say this, I can't think of my word right now, to remove those laws to now make it where it is accessible to get that information of everyone that applied for DACA. So this is why that you've got this community that is scared now, because their information of where they live, where they go to school, where they go to work at is now just almost really public, because some of these students and recipients have been getting harassed.
A lot of them been getting harassed, not just online, but by other people. And you have to understand why. So we think about what people are even angry about in the United States. It's like people get angry for the simplest things. DACA, they also call them dreamers. So think about this. So according to The Guardian also, dreamers are those protected under DACA that are known as dreamers, and there are about 580,000 have been granted approval at the time of that article. So that's where the 800,000 comes from. And to apply, they have to have been younger than 31 on 15th of June of 2012. And then that's when the program began. And
Right.
Undocumented, lacking the legal immigration status. So they're still undocumented. They've been going to school. They've been doing a whole bunch of other things as kids because they grew up here. So their friends are people who are either some other dreamers, but they're also, regular natural-born citizens. So in order for you to just take them out, people to take them out of their homeland, this is like the only place, and shove them back to a country that they've never really remember. It's child abuse. It's cruel. And for anyone to ever think about ending it, for what? For, what you think are jobs? Like, these people aren't a threat to you. And I'll say that in a minute. I'll explain why in a minute. I'll let you go on.
Well, and you even have, I don't have the rates on it, but I was reading some articles that you even have DACA students that don't even speak the language of the country that they immigrated from, because they've lived in the United States for so long. They only know the American culture. They only know the way to live here. It's like all of a sudden they're just going to be placed in a whole different world where they know nobody, don't know the language, don't even really understand the culture, because they've been so much part. I'll take that back. I don't know about culture, but again, this is all that they know is this home of the United States.
So, just in case you don't know what DACA means, because I think it needs to be explained, it's DACA for a reason, DACA, which is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So, it explains exactly what it is. And Donald Trump is threatening to end it. Number one, because he hates anything Barack Obama has done.
Pretty much.
So everything that Barack Obama has done, especially as an executive order, he is trying to undo with an executive order. And it doesn't matter how much he harms whoever or whatever, whether it's the parks, whether it's healthcare, he doesn't care. Women's
rights.
Pay, women's rights in their pay. In order to be transparent for companies to pay, it doesn't matter. He doesn't care. It doesn't matter. So with this, he's just trying to undo it, but he knows that there is going to be a very large hit to him. He already freed up Joe Arpaio, which was already a slam to Latinos and blacks, but this is a real slam, even though there are more than just Latinos who are in the DACA program. They account for, probably a majority of coming from Mexico. I think it's 52% are coming from Mexico. But then there are a whole bunch of others from other
parts of South America.
Parts of South America. They have 3 countries, and I can't remember them right now.
And Africa.
There are a lot in Africa, because you got to remember, a lot of the immigrants that do come over here and stay are from all over the world. Even Canada has like 100,000 people here. So don't think that whenever you think of immigrant, you're only thinking of one demographic. It's funny because if you think about, and I'm going to tell you why it's detrimental, and why DACA makes America great. There's a council of people who are defendants of DACA, and Apple CEO Tim Cook is one of them. CEOs from AT&T, Best Buy, Wells Fargo, Amazon, Google, so Alphabet, Mark Zuckerberg, so Facebook. These are people who want to protect DACA because so many of their employers the employees are DACA students. So Tim Cook had even said 250 of my Apple coworkers are dreamers. I stand with them. They deserve our respect as equals and a solution rooted in American values. So you want to pull out some of the most brightest future just because of what?
Right.
Because of what? They say that after, on CNN Money, they had stated that after receiving DACA, which is also from the United We, not United We Stand.
United We Dream?
Thank you, United We Dream site. That they say that after receiving DACA, 5% of Dreamers had started their own business.
Right.
And 16% bought their first homes. They are able to become citizens. It's like if people believe that a piece of paper with a signature on it is going to make that much of a difference from these people who are able to come in and bring this much joy, diversity, and, economic balance to the company, then they're crazy. I mean, it's what, like, how do you take that away from people? Like, these are people who deserve to be here, especially since they were so young.
So young. They had no choice. Why would you do that? Plus, dreamers are buying homes. They're getting loans from banks. They are an economic force, and you want to take that away now?
That doesn't make America great. They say that CNBC also says that at least 75% of the largest companies in America have someone who identifies as a DACA employer.
Think about that.
Which means it's much higher. They say it's fair to say almost every major company in America is benefiting from DACA because they've been able to hire someone who's a DACA recipient. Now, what the Trump supporter is going to say is they're taking our jobs. The thing is, they're not taking your jobs because the people who say they're taking them aren't the ones that were qualified to have these jobs in the first place. So,
right.
If you're you're some hillbilly over in who knows whatever state in Arkansas,
Hobunkville,
and you believe that someone's taking your job over at Apple, as a tech engineer, then you should have been that tech engineer instead of selling your own moonshine.
Right. They have more opportunity to go back to school than the dreamers do, because the dreamers now, they are going to school, and the universities, the public universities, have a lot of dreamers in their systems, in community colleges and universities. But the majority of them are having to pay out of pocket because they cannot apply for financial aid. So they're paying out of pocket for school. And if you're a resident, though, of the United States, you can get financial aid. So that guy in Hobunkville could have gotten financial aid or even a Pell Grant to pay for his classes to get coding done or to get certified.
Do what he wanted to do.
So this way he can get a job and be attractive in the market.
So then why didn't they? It's almost like you want to go on Twitter. So speaking of Twitter, Gateway Pundit, which is a conservative outlet, they wrote an article, I guess today or so, which had Hillary Clinton. They were talking about a Hillary Clinton tweet, which got a lot of attention because she's like, duh, like dreamers are awesome, pretty much. And she was stating that how removing them would be detrimental. Well, of course, these guys get, angry, and they're like, oh, Trump supporters slammed Chelsea Clinton for supporting Obama's unconstitutional. And that's the one thing. They always say it's unconstitutional. Yet, these guys are really in big support of Trump freeing Arpaio before he serves a day in prison. But,
didn't even go through the right process.
But you're talking about unconstitutional, whatever. So some of these tweets, like from Patricia J. Ryan,
what did Patricia say?
Oh, how is putting non-American children's needs above our own children be the right thing to do? Our children in the U.S. who need to come first. Okay, so that's one. Patricia also says, Tammy Joe, here we go, Tammy Joe.
Oh, Lord.
Tammy Joe.
I can already hear it.
Says, for someone who is supposed to be highly educated, you can't seem to grasp what illegal means. And then we got Lori Clancy.
I like the accent.
Because it's so natural. Then Lori Clancy says, because DACA is unconstitutional. So a lot of these people in the Trump, what they do is they repeat unconstitutional. They say that they're taking their jobs. It's the exact same
Adding
excuses.
crime.
Adding crime. Man, don't even let me get into that because I got
we got statistics on it.
I got that stat too. But this is what they're saying is, but they're not thinking clearly about what impact it's going to have on the economy. So, you mind if I go on?
I go right ahead.
So,
because I love the statistics. You know how it is.
So, according to Fortune says that under the study, that if the program DACA was canceled, it would be devastating to the economy. So, it says that the nation's GDP would be reduced by $433.4 billion over the decade.
Holy crap.
And that 685,195 young immigrants would become unemployed immediately, causing employers to incur $3.4 billion in costs associated with the termination and replacement of employees. And without DACA, tax revenue would be seriously impacted. So over the next decade, $24.6 billion in Social Security and Medicaid contributions would be lost. Now that's according to Fortune. I trust Fortune would probably know these numbers.
Right.
If you try to take all these people out because you can't find a job.
So how can you be this, a traditional Republican, right, is very fiscally conservative, right? So how can you look at these numbers and really think that this is something that the DACA program should end? How can you really look at this?
They can't.
And I just don't understand.
And don't try Kate's Law,
Oh, God.
which was named after Kate Steinle, who died on July 1st. It's terrible that she was shot on Pier 14 in San Francisco. And they arrested Juan, Francisco, whatever, Lopez, who was a Mexican national and a convicted felon who was in the United States illegally. So he was an illegal immigrant. He was not a dreamer. But a lot of people, these people, they wind up merging the dreamers, like the immigrant and illegal immigrant to them. It's like if you're not signed, no, it's the same. You're the same. And, one woman is killed, not, rest in peace to her. But they make this law. How many people are killed by guns every day and they don't touch them? But the thing is, even when it comes to crimes, you try to have Donald Trump who's trying to push MS-13 and that this is this big organization. They're not even the big. They're nowhere near the biggest gang. So quit with that. That's just a dog whistle. He's trying to throw you off. In The Hill, a study by the Sentencing Project had shown that criminal justice research and advocacy group found that foreign-born residents of the United States commit crime less often than the native-born citizens. So the people who are here as immigrants commit less crimes than the ones who are born here. But you're trying to tell me that America is better if you kick all the immigrants out and all the DACA students.
Right. Where is that? And if we're going to talk about some DACA students, I want to give some recognition to Alonso Guillen. Alonso was a DACA recipient living in Houston. He was a volunteer during the Hurricane Harvey, and he died trying to find people and save them and getting them out of their homes. Not only is that a heartbreak for his loss, but now his mother will not be allowed to attend his burial because she lives in Mexico.
So think about that. This is a DACA kid who was saving lives in Houston. How many are in the military? How many people work with you? How many people are doing just a much better job than some of these American citizens, but you want to keep the Nazis in the United States to represent you, but you have a problem with DACA? Something's wrong.
We could do this for
I can
all
keep
night.
going. I have more notes.
We got
Trust me.
So much.
But this is why DACA makes America great. So if you are out there and you feel that this is something, and I need proof. Like, I need proof. If you think that no, DACA is detrimental, you're going to wind up paying a huge price, just like you're going to be paying for that border wall in Mexico is not. You're going to be paying for a price for bringing in a TV showman as a president who's speaking for you instead of you speaking for yourself and talking to your neighbors. You should get to know people and diversify your whole circle of friends. Because if you don't know anybody from another country, then there's something wrong with you, not wrong with them.
If you're not from this country, meaning that if this was not your home country, if you're not Native American, or if you were brought over here on slave ships, those are the only two communities that can say that we are not dreamers. Everybody else, you are dreamers.
You're dreamers. So anyway, follow us at Zod Andrea everywhere, every social network. All right, we'll talk to you later, people.
Bye.